Denmark is a tiny country in Northern Europe, but its mainland size hides the true size of Denmark, because while the country itself is about half the size of the US state of Maine, it balloons to the 12th largest country in the world when you factor in its distant territories. So what are these territories, and why aren't they better known as part of Denmark? When you picture Denmark, you probably first think of the bustling city of Copenhagen. You may also think of large flat islands with tranquil villages in an otherwise pretty cold and rainy region of the world. This is a country celebrated for its high quality of life and a charming, if modest, footprint on the European continent. Indeed, mainland Denmark, comprising the Jutland Peninsula and an archipelago of over 400 islands, with Zealand, Funen, and Lolland being among the largest, covers an area of just about 43,000 square kilometers. And its terrain is largely flat, shaped by ancient glaciers with gentle rolling plains, fertile agricultural lands, and a significant coastline stretching thousands of kilometers. In fact, the highest natural point, Mjølnehøj, barely reaches 170 meters above sea level, reinforcing the perception of a geographically unassuming nation. But this is just the mainland, a tiny fraction of Denmark's true geographic size. So let's expand out to the next part of Denmark's real size, the Faroe Islands. The Faroe Islands are a collection of 18 rugged volcanic islands located far to the northwest in the North Atlantic, about halfway between Iceland and Norway. And unlike Denmark itself, these islands are dramatic, with incredible sea cliffs, deep fjords, and a landscape dominated by basaltic lava flows. While their total land area is only about 1,400 square kilometers, a small addition to Denmark itself, they add a significant and distinct geography to the Danish realm. You see, the Faroes boast a wild, untamed beauty shaped by millennia of volcanic activity and glacial erosion, offering a glimpse into a very different Nordic landscape. Here, the highest point, named Fault Summit in English, rises to 882 meters, a true peak compared to Denmark's gentle hills, but still pretty small on the global scale. Of course, the Faroes are just a relatively small series of islands, nowhere near big enough to make Denmark one of the largest countries in the world. But what if it also owned the largest island in the world? Going even further northwest, across vast stretches of the North Atlantic and over Iceland, lies Greenland, the monumental, ice-covered island that utterly transforms Denmark's geographic standing. Greenland is an island of truly staggering proportions, covering an immense area of over 2.1 million square kilometers. To put that in perspective, Greenland alone is roughly 50 times the size of mainland Denmark. Its physical geography is dominated by the second largest ice cap in the world, a colossal sheet of ice averaging 1,500 meters thick, and in some places reaching an incredible 4,300 meters. This vast ice cap obscures almost 80% of the island's surface, leaving only a narrow, mountainous, ice-free coastal strip where life and settlements cling to the rugged terrain. The highest point, Gunnbjørnfjeld, an imposing peak in the eastern coastal range, stands at 3,694 meters, a testament to the island's raw, untamed nature. From its dramatic fjords, carved by ancient glaciers, to its active ice sheets constantly calving massive icebergs into the surrounding Arctic waters, Greenland is a land of extreme beauty and formidable scale. So now you know how big Denmark truly is. We have to go back to the early medieval period and the rise of the Norse influence across the North Atlantic. This was arguably the period of time when Nordic influence on the world was at its height, mostly because the Vikings were explorers and expansionists during a time when the rest of Europe was much less interested in the world. Now, despite its current stewardship, the Faroe Islands and Greenland were initially settled by Norsemen, primarily from Norway and Iceland, not the Danes. The Faroe Islands, uninhabited before the 9th century, were colonized by Norwegian Vikings seeking new lands. Greenland, famously explored and named by Eric the Red around 985 CE, after his exile from Iceland, saw the establishment of Norse settlements that persisted for centuries, albeit facing formidable environmental challenges. These settlements maintained ties with their Scandinavian homelands, eventually falling under the loose suzerainty of the Norwegian crown. The crucial turning point for Denmark's future dominion came in 1380, with the formation of the Dano-Norwegian Union. This union occurred when Olaf II of Denmark inherited the Kingdom of Norway, becoming Olaf IV of Norway. This effectively merged the two crowns under a single monarch, and with Norway came its overseas possessions and colonies, the Faroe Islands, Iceland, and Greenland. While the Kalmar Union, a broader union of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, would form in 1397, Sweden eventually broke away, leaving Denmark and Norway in a more enduring, albeit increasingly Danish-dominated, union that would last until 1814. Throughout these centuries, while Norway itself maintained a degree of autonomy, its overseas territories became increasingly administered from Copenhagen. As the Norse settlements in Greenland faded by the 1400s, due to a combination of climate change, dwindling resources, and perhaps conflicts with the indigenous Inuit, European contact with the Greenland colonies was lost. However, the Danish-Norwegian crown never relinquished its claim to the vast island. In the early 1700s, a renewed interest in Greenland emerged, driven by a missionary zeal and the prospect of trade. In 1721, the Norwegian missionary Hans Egede, with the support of the Dano-Norwegian king, embarked on an expedition to find the lost Norse settlement and convert the native Inuit. This marked the beginning of modern Danish colonization of Greenland, establishing trading posts and missions that solidified Danish control over the entire island, often isolating it from the outside world. But the moment that cemented the Faroe Islands and Greenland firmly within the Danish realm occurred in the aftermath of the Napoleonic Wars. You see, Denmark-Norway had allied with Napoleon, a decision that proved disastrous. Following Napoleon's defeat, the victorious powers, particularly Sweden and Great Britain, sought to redraw the map of northern